Hi SBI readers, welcome again. Today we have here with us Mr. Chris Beer, the Chief Executive Officer for Luxottica in the Asia Pacific region. How are you today, Chris?
Oh, great, thanks Ellie. Nice to be here.
Good, likewise. So first let's get a feel of your role and what you do.
So I look after, I work for a company called Luxottica, obviously. Luxottica started actually 50 years in September ago, and we started as a small manufacturer of luxury eyewear. So today the group is the largest manufacturer of luxury eyewear in the world. We own brands like Ray-Ban and Oakley, but we also manufacture exclusively brands like Tiffany, Bulgari, Chanel, Burberry, Coach, Versace, Dolce & Gabbana, many. And what we also do is, in about 1995, the founder then bought a business in the US. So we're now not only the largest manufacturer, the largest retailer, and I look after the Asia Pacific region. So that goes from China, obviously around to Australia, New Zealand. We also look after South Africa. We've got about 1,500 stores with about 5 or 6 brands. So we have OPSM in Australia, Lord & Peg, Budget Eyewear, Sunglass Hut, and Bright Eyes Sunglasses. And in China we have a brand, Lenscrafters, which now has about 220 stores and is growing rapidly in that country, which is really exciting.
Excellent. So with the Asia Pacific region, so is it basically you've got different branches within different regions internationally?
Yeah, so I look after the region. My view from a business perspective is I believe in, from a region perspective, we have a business here that's run autonomously. The China business runs autonomously. I don't believe structurally that in a controlled environment. I believe that we should have local people running businesses locally that understand the cultures that they live in and really love that environment. And really, a regional perspective is really from a leadership and strategy perspective, just thought, coaching, mentoring, developing those teams and empowering them to be the best they possibly can.
Excellent. Yeah, I've got a statement here from you that says you believe that performance is driven through development of people through culture. So what do you mean by that? You know, being in regions where they're very culturally enriched, where does your statement kind of base from?
I think it's different people have different philosophies. So if I was to start picking a team from scratch, my team know that I would pick the human resources person first. Now, for most CEOs, they would probably pick the finance person. Now, it doesn't mean I don't love all my team and think they're fantastic, but I think culture really is about driving performance. At the end of the day, people talk about sort of maybe go a bit of a way around explaining that. Sometimes are asked to talk to different organisations from our perspective about high performance. And so when I get up and talk, the first proposition is you don't have to have a high performance environment. Without offending anyone, I'm sure that New South Wales Rail doesn't have a high performance culture.
Of course.
Doesn't need one either, it's a monopoly. They don't have competition, it makes no difference. Now, it doesn't mean they should improve service, etc., but not every organisation needs a high performance environment. But when I was talking before about the fact that the brands that we have, we own retail businesses, but we also sell to the market at large, and everyone is our competitor. So if you have products that are the same and you need to differentiate with people, then you need a high performance environment which really focuses on getting discretionary effort and a culture, a real passion and enthusiasm about what people do and get up to go to work. So a high performance environment, and why do people count more? Why does that culture drives performance? In an environment where the products are the same, people can copy our store design, people hopefully buy our brands because we're selling them to them as well and our competitors. You need to differentiate yourself, and culture is the thing that people can't copy. It's very hard. And I think this is becoming more and more important, particularly as the world gets smaller and smaller. So that's an inherent belief, and it's I guess the way, the philosophy which I run the business on.
Beautiful, that's excellent. So being in charge of a region internationally would involve you travelling a lot, I suppose.
Yeah, I travel a little bit more than I'd like to, but that's life. So
how do you deal with managing your time in terms of doing the things that you like to do, leisure activities, spending time with family and alongside travelling? I do imagine you'd be travelling on a regular basis. I'm sure Qantas frequent flyer points are quite high.
They're high. It's getting a challenge to use them is the problem. And the last thing I want to do is get on a plane on a holiday. But look, I'm lucky for someone who runs a region. I'm lucky the organisation allows me to live in Sydney.
Okay.
Obviously, that's where family is, and that's where we'd like to live.
Yeah.
Look, I think if you go back, I think balance is what's important to. Everyone finds their own balance.
Yep.
So my balance might not be somebody else's, etc., etc.
Yep.
But I think also, as I got older, probably more mature, get wiser, I'm much better than I once was. So I think it's probably, there's times, years, I've got 3 children, they're growing up, now 16, 13 and 10.
Oh, lovely.
I think over the last 3 or 4 years, it's unusual that I miss any event that's important to them. And I do that basically with my EA, works closely with my wife. So there'll be things that I can't move, and I'll work around that.
Yeah.
And based on that, I, put the travel in, so I do what I have to do with work.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'll get home. I don't miss events. My daughters dance. They, the key important things for school and sport, and sport's always nice. So it means you just travel a little bit more and get to learn to sleep on planes rather than staying another way from home. You get home earlier. But there's no doubt you also can't do it without. My wife probably feels many times like a single mum, but it's impossible to do without someone who's really supportive, and she's done a great job in supporting me do that.
Yeah, that's exceptional. I mean, her role in, they say behind every successful man is a woman, so we could definitely say that in your case.
Absolutely, it's no doubt about that.
That's excellent. So basically, time management you'd say is crucial in someone, say aspiring to be in a role such as yours. You'd say time management is something that they should really start managing from now, or is it something that you develop over time, like an experience-based thing?
My advice to people, if I was 5 years ago I wasn't as good as I am today, and that's not because I can because I'm the boss or anything like that, it's because I think really what's important, and I think rather than time management, you just allocate what's really important, what don't you want to miss, and what are you prepared to miss. So a thing I like to use is I had the opportunity to spend some time with Jack Welch and his wife, the former CEO of GE, and his wife had a saying, it was 10-10-10. So there's sometimes in life when you ring home and say, look, I'm going to be 10 minutes late, and you might have it might be important or seem to be important, but in 10 minutes time no one cares. 10 months later, no one remembers, and 10 years later, clearly no one does. But there's things that do matter, and if someone's going to remember in 10 minutes, if 10 months it's still going to be important, or 10 years' time they don't forget. So an example I use of that is, before I went to that Jack Welch conference, my son was in Year 6, and they had, I think it's a good analogy of trying to get that balance. And my son was in Year 6 at school, and his school decided to have a father-son cricket match, but they only told us a week before, so I could have spent a father-son cricket match with my son, or I could have gone to the US and spent a week with Jack Welch. Now, he would have been disappointed. In 10 months later, he would have still known that Dad gave up that opportunity to go with Jack Welch, and 10 years later he may recall it. It may be a big issue, it may not be, but who knows, you've got to make that call. So I could put Jack Welch off, and I went the following 12 months, and I, to this day, Daniel still knows that I put him first, put Jack Welch. The funny thing is, it poured with rain and was washed out, so he didn't do it.
Oh, it didn't even happen.
But interesting enough, Jack Welch knew that I came 12 months later and asked why did I put him off, and I explained to him, and he thought it was fantastic.
Of course.
That's a great example of that 10-10-10. So sometimes you put things off, it doesn't matter, so you really need to prioritise. The point is, what's important to you, what's important to your family, and you can't do everything, but make sure you don't miss the things that really matter.
I guess, based on what you said, you really maintain a good role as a super dad and, doing so well at Luxottica. So, it's not easy at times. I can imagine it's difficult. There are many challenges in trying to maintain a family balance and pursue, an ambitious career. But, as you've said, you've done quite well at it so far. And
so far, so good.
So far, so good. Just finally, I wanted to focus on a program that Luxottica runs called One Side.
Yep.
So could you give us a bit of background and elaborate on what the program involves?
Well, One Side is the Luxottica foundation, which basically gives back to underprivileged communities.
Yeah.
So it's a global program, and what we basically do, I think it's quite unique. We go to, we do a lot of things. We work in every country we currently have a business in, and we partner with people like in Australia. We partner with Salvation Army, Red Cross, and if there's people in capital cities that are doing it tough,
yeah.
They can come in and get glasses, their eyes tested in glasses for free. So we look after people that don't have that ability. We also go to remote communities in Australia. So there's a lot of remote communities in Australia that to be quite frank, very disadvantaged. You know, often also we do missions. We go out and we test eyes and we look after them and glasses, etc. We do that all around the globe. So we'll go to places like Philippines, Thailand, South America, really wherever there's a need, and we can coordinate with local countries and their health providers. So we're conscious we don't go in and step on somebody else's toes. We want to supplement and add to those countries. But having spent time in missions overseas and come back and spend time in the outback of Australia in that foundation, I think sometimes there's a naivety in Australia to think that there's third world countries. But in Australia, parts of Australia are equally as bad as some of those third world countries. So I guess I'm pretty passionate about giving back and helping. But last year we gave the 7th millionth recipient of free eyewear was in Sydney, here in with Salvation Army. And last year we gave, just recently actually, just a couple of months ago, the 8 millionth recipient. So Luxottica is helping millions of people around the globe. It's getting close to 1 million people a year, which is really nice.
It's exceptional.
It's
really
very,
very good. Just lastly, what's one of your proudest moments in life?
Proudest moments would clearly be Dad.
Of course.
From a business perspective, we've got a new concept that we call iHub, which is in Melbourne, and what we did is we wanted to build something that was unique in the industry that's been done nowhere else. And we've won a lot of awards. It's based in Hawthorne, and we're looking to roll those out around not only in Australia but around the globe.
So what is it basically?
Basically, it's a really big optical store, but it has everything you could imagine. It has face recognition. You go in, it helps you understand what glasses best suit. You can play back videos. We have an area just for children with softball so they can play and get glasses. There's a experimental area, we call it the chamber, where we have a wind tunnel so you can put performance eyewear on, like Oakley sunglasses, and be like Cadell Evans, and simulate that in the wind tunnel. It actually has the same technology as an eye in a hospital, so other than surgery. So it really takes optics, eye care, and fashion world of optics to a different playing level, and it's unique all around the world. So we're really proud of that, and we're proud about how we went about that. So we've got people in the organisation who are doing really well, so the best talent. We gave them a clean sheet of paper principally, and we asked them to build an amazing store from a customer perspective, and they did a brilliant job. So
it's an excellent concept.
Yeah.
Well, it was very nice having you. Thank you for your time once again, and stay tuned, SBI readers.